What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. So today we have the Season 6 official patch notes. So this is the image. They said, welcome to Season 6. They pretty much first start off by covering the content. This is all the multiplayer side of things. They talk about the brand new maps that are going to be coming in, multiplayer map variants, pretty much the new LTMs and modes that are going to be coming in, both brand new weapons that are going to be available in the battle pass, zombies content, the new events, which we've talked about before. You have the haunting daily login rewards, the Chucky event pass, and all of that. And then they talk about the Ricochet anti-cheat. They said that last week they shared a blog detailing changes coming to security measures for BO7, things like that. But Season 6 Black Ops 6, they're expanding in-game notifications to include additional details about TPM 2.0 and Secure Boot. For those of you guys who may not have that set up, you may get a pop-up. If you don't have to worry about this at all. And then we go on into the weapons and the meta changes. By the way, this is probably the last set of patch notes that we're ever going to get for Black Ops 6. So just remember these changes they're about to make. So the GPR is adjustments. Fast mag ammo count increase from 25 to 26 for fast mag 1, just one bullet. Goblin MK2, these changes are removing more variants from firing with the Goblin MK2, ensuring that gameplay is focused squarely on firing as fast as possible and landing accurate shots. So the adjustments they made is hip fire spread reduced by 0.25 degrees, greatly reduced first shot recoil. For the ABR A1, that says it will now need one headshot for a one burst kill at all ranges. The power of the full auto mod remains the same, but there will now be a recoil penalty. And here are the changes that they did. So maximum damage range from 29 up to 32, and then minimum damage range from 22 to 24, and then attachment adjustments, full auto rapid fire. Vertical recoil now increased by 10% and horizontal now increased by 15%. So for the marksman rifles, they said they're happy with the DM10 landed after recent updates. These adjustments to the TR2 and Sarkov 7.62 will help push them in the same direction. And what they did is fire rate improved from 480 rounds per minute to 522 for the TR2. For the Sarkov, fire rate improved from 231 to 250 and received flinch improvement from 0.5 to 0.4. And then as for multiplayer, so they talked about the maps yet again, but for Gravity says location classified. It tells you, I guess, a little more details about them. Black Ops team returns to USATA facility topside to find a gravitational experiment still running. Mothball location also classified. These two maps are basically right next to each other. Like one is at the top floor or one is at the bottom floor, which is pretty odd to see. They don't really do that often in Call of Duty. But then we have Rig. So Arizona, small truck stop falls victim to a horrific accident. And then Bootown, which is in Nevada, and that is the Nuketown Halloween variant. For the modes, they talk about slasher deathmatch in season. So survivors must hide from slashers. Screams will give away your position. Then you have the ranked play rewards for the multiplayer side of things. They talked about the setbacks. So players who are continuing, they're going to get that typical ranked setback, demotion protection, and all of that typical stuff that you see with ranked play. I'll go ahead and pause it here or feel free to pause it here if you want all the details on that, but I'm not going to read everything. And then we go on to the zombie changes. So it says here, map Reckoning, address the issue where zombies will clip through the wall when coming out of spawn closest in the Reckoning, and then or spawn closet, and then address the issue where zombies will stop pathing to the player in the mutant research lab in Reckoning. Address the issue where players may get stuck behind the SAM trial during the boss fight in the Reckoning. Address the issue where players can re-enter a Tower 3 after reloading a save created after completing the boss fight in the Reckoning. Address the issue where players can grab the vacuum seal device through the wall on the opposite side. Address the issue where Franken Claws clips through the doors to the teleportation lab if the door has not been unlocked in the Reckoning. They also addressed an issue where the containment unit will appear closed after opening and reloading a save in Reckoning. Address the issue where the player screen will sometimes remain blurred after absorbing panos. Address the issue where operator's reactive skin would appear during the final cutscene. And then Shattered Veil. Address the exploit location in the dungeon next to Craft Cell when doing the light ritual step for the main quest. Citadel de Mort. Address an exploit location in the dungeon next to Craft Cell. So I think they just accidentally put this twice. Liberty Falls addressed the issue where the light bulb in the elemental particle projector did not match the color of the buttons in Liberty Falls. For Terminus, address the issue where invisibility geometry appearing where Nathan's containment unit used to be after releasing him in Terminus. Modes, Grief, address the issue where the screen will jitter while standing next to Pack-a-Punch Machine in Grief. For weapons, Grave Mark 357 adjusted the reload for base and Pack-a-Punch versions. The weapon reloads one shell at a time in both versions. The Pack-a-Punch weapon will no longer reload 2 shells at once and will instead reload all shells when using akimbo attachments. Reload speed has been increased by 20% and hipfire spread has been tightened by 20%. For Purgacola's Quick Revive, address the issue where Dying Wish would rarely fail to trigger one shot by Richtofen during the boss fight. Speed Cola adjusted how Phantom Reload Augment for Speed Cola reloads weapons with akimbo attachments. Gobblegums address the issue where Nowhere But There Gobblegum would sometimes not work under specific conditions, and then address the issue where Idle Eyes after a boss fight will not have the grayscale screen. So you'll see here they're fixing everything they possibly could because this is literally the final update. Field upgrades address issue with the Mr. Peaks field upgrades, score streaks, chopper gunner health bar being misaligned, preventing players perks order being maintained while using mutant injection, issues with activating mutant injection near a zip line, and then for loot, issues with blueprint skins for the ray gun not appearing, then issues with fast travel resetting and players reactive skin to its base state, and then issues where players will not be able to equip certain rewards given from legendary reward boxes from the Sam trial. And as for enemies, elimination text and essence for defeating Nathan will now be awarded after in-game cutscene and Terminus. Address the issue with Uber Klaus core teleporting forward after being rejected from an Uber Klaus that was killed from behind. UI address the issue where door by icons were appearing for certain power-ups in the minimap and tac map in Reckoning, where the boss health bar will stay on screen after all players have bled out. Another issue where players are unable to cast the vote to start a boss fight. Another issue reloading a save with the keycard in player's inventory will show this step again in Reckoning, and then other issues right here. And then they go on to talk about graphics, audio, and stability fixes. And that is pretty much everything for the multiplayer and zombie side of things. No mention at all of carry forward. So see, look, I'll just try to do that. No mention at all of carry forward. So that's a little disappointing, but it looks like they're just going to stick with no carrying forward for this update. And now we jump into the Warzone side of things. So they talk once again about all the content coming in, the global thing about the TPM appearing on screen. They also mention the events once again. They talk a little bit about the Battle Pass. Surprisingly, they didn't drop the Battle Pass blog today. And then for Warzone, the new maps, Verdansk, the night variant. You also have Rebirth night variant, the new modes like Casual Z, limited time mode, returning Zombies Royale coming back, and then all the different zombie types and features. This is the playlist update that we have. So it's going to start off with Battle Royale and solos, duos, and quads in Verdansk, Resurgence to solos, duos, quads on Rebirth Island, Plunder, quads, Verdansk. Then you have Casual Z, limited time in quads of Verdansk and Rebirth, the night variants. Then you have Ring Play and Battle Royale trios, Ring Play Resurgence trios, Battle Royale casual, solos in quads, and Resurgence casual in quads. So this is the playlist update for like the next week or two, from my understanding. Then they talk about ranked play. These are the rewards that you're going to be able to get if you decide to play ranked play in Season 6. They also talk about the career rewards, the placements, and things like that. The ranked operator skins. These are the same operators from the very start. So if you haven't gotten them yet, you can still get them. And then they go on to showcase other rewards and things like that. But then they go on to loot and economy. So adjustments, ground loot. The new 5.56 assault rifle in the Dresden, so the MP40 M14, have been added to ground loot and supply boxes. All ground loot weapon builds have been updated, and most instances of attachments RNG have been removed to ensure a more consistent and reliable looting experience. Most placed weapons and weapon builds have been updated to align with the current ground loot. For buy station adjustments, so for Verdansk, buy station spawns have been re-randomized across the map to create a dynamic combat scenario and rotation opportunities. Here's the buy station locations, so feel free to save this if you want to know more and where they're located. For contracts, plunder, search and destroy, complete the contract now awards 20,000 cash to each squad member. Remove the incorrect 1 discount item call out from the contract description, as this reward never was granted in plunder. Then for equipment, throwing knife, base damage increased from 175 to 250. Headshots now deal 500 damage, and neck and upper chest shots now deal 275 damage. So huge buff for throwing knives. Smoke grenade, maximum carry amount reduced from 2 to 1. You can only carry 1 of them. Thermobaric, detonation time reduced from 1.75 to 1. Inner explosive damage increased from 220 to 280. And then outer explosive damage increased from 55 to 175. They then talk about the brand new weapons that are going to be available. So yeah, and then the new attachments, we know about all of this. Default loadouts, you have Enforcer replaces the Kilo, and Infiltrator replaces the SOG with the Dresden. And then the Gulag loadout, LC-10 now replaces Jackal, and the Ladra replaces the KSV. Now here are all the weapon balance changes and probably one of the final meta updates for Warzone until Black Ops 7. ABR A1 attachment adjustments, full auto rapid mod, maximum damage range increased from 35 to 40, medium damage range increased 1 from 45 to 55, AK-74 recoil reduced by 10%, the CR56A Max ended up getting some changes. So medium damage range was increased from 64 to 70, and then the minimum damage range increased up to 70. And then the Model L, the range has also been increased to 45 from 38.1, and then here it was also increased to 45 and 60, and then 60 meters. And then it says lower torso multiplier increased from 0.8 to 0.86, bullet velocity increased from 870 to 890. For the Compact 92, jog movement speed improved from 4.8 to 5.2. Aim down sight speed movement improved from 3.5 to 3.7. The PPSH range has been increased a little bit, so 13.5 meters. And then that it also translates over here, so 13.5 meters. And then the damage was also increased a lot. So minimum damage range went from 19 all the way to 28. Which they didn't highlight here green. Not sure if this could be a typo. And it says ADS speed movement improved 3.6 to 3.8. Aim down sight speed improved from 185 to 175. And then the SOG 0 to 13.2 meters, and then 13.2 to 21, and then 21 meters here. The ASG 89 medium damage range 1 per pellet has been increased to 8.1 meters from 6.3, and then it also translates to come back down here. So instead of 6.3, now 8.1, and the damage hasn't been increased. Headshot multiplier increased from 1 to 1.2. Lower torso and leg multiplier increased from 0.8 to 1. ADS sight speed improved from 305 to 260. Inflicted flinch increased by 15%. Then the Marine SP right here, the damage has, or the range has been increased from 7.1 to 7.6, and then it also increased here as well. And then flinch resistance improved by 25%. ADS sight speed improved from 320 to 290. And then the PML 556 lower torso and leg multipliers increased from 1 to 1.08. Attachment adjustments, recoil springs benefit improved from 12 to 20%. The TR2, only the CQB auto conversion. Max damage range increased from 12.7 to 13.2. ADS sight speed improved from 230 to 200. And then for the SVD, the range has been increased from 55 all the way to 70, and from 55 to 70 here. Lower torso and leg multipliers increased from 0.7 to 0.88. Bullet velocity increased from 890 to 920. And then aim down sight speed improved from 565 to 480. Now, these are the final bug fixes that we have. So, fix issues causing certain rank reward camos to display an unlocked string. Fix issues where search and destroy contract and plunder could grant incorrect or missing rewards. Issues allowing players to deal damage to teammates in matches of Warzone. That's actually pretty crazy. Issues where assets from emotes could appear inconsistently in the winner's circle. Issues that could cause players to crash after finding a match or after finishing a match. Issues causing the cape on Doc's Cardinal and Cardinal Black Cell skins to behave incorrectly during the exfil animation. Issues where the wrong title weapons could appear, changing weapon categories while scrolling in the front end. Issues causing player emblems, calling cards, and levels to display incorrectly. Issues where players could complete the bonus daily challenge after finishing only 2 standard challenges. Fix the issue causing inflated squad and player counts early in BR casual matches due to bot behavior. Fix the issue where a player's primary weapon was not automatically equipped after acquiring a loadout in Battle Royale quads. An issue preventing some legacy camos from being applied to legacy weapons. An issue preventing Modern Warfare 3 weapon prestige camos from applying correctly in-game when the camo validation flag was active. And this is pretty much everything you need to know about the last and final update that we have for Black Ops 6.